Right, first, there's more news this morning about the coronavirus outbreak. 18 schools in the UK have now either closed or sent pupils home to isolate after many of them had been on a school trip to Italy over half-term.
Well, the Foreign Office has now advised against all but essential travel to certain towns in northern Italy after another 4 people died from the virus on yesterday.
And a popular hotel in Tenerife was put into lockdown yesterday after a previous guest tested positive for the virus. So we can now speak to our This Morning reporter David Blackmore, who is outside the hotel in Tenerife. Good morning, David.
Morning,
so you
David.
just arrived at that hotel. Can you sense from where you are what's going on inside?
Well, when we arrived here a bit earlier on, Philip, we were right by the entrance with a lot of the media. And then just as we got set up for this shot, the police came along and pushed us all up. There definitely seems a heightened sense now of making sure that this site is extremely locked down. There's 1,000 holidaymakers in this resort at the moment. And it's all come about because there are now 4 confirmed cases of coronavirus here in Tenerife. They all belong, we believe, to the same party, 4 within a group of 10. All Italians and all from the same part of northern Italy. Now, the big fear here is not only the people here in the resort, but also people that might have left the resort already, because the first person who complained of feeling unwell was here for a few days before. So who's he come in contact with and where have those people gone? That is the questions that the authorities here need to answer to find out where this coronavirus may have spread.
And what sort of quarantine precautions and tasks can you see being done outside the hotel?
Well, as I say, when I got here, it was quite laid back. We walked right up to the entrance of the hotel. But definitely in the last half an hour, there's definitely upped it. There seems to be more people, more authoritative people that have been coming in here. There's some talk of some staff members being allowed to leave today. Some of them have been working for 14 hours. I was speaking to a couple of people that turned up to do their shift this morning, and they were voluntarily wanting to go in to relieve the staff members that have been there for the past 14 hours. But like others, they've been turned away.
You any idea how long they're expecting this lockdown to be in place for?
Well, the anxious wait is going to be at least 2 weeks, we think, because the Canary Island president last night said that they're going to have individual checks on all these people. So that's going to be lots of tests, thermostats, temperature readings. There's going to be a lot of testing. And if they find themselves positive, they're going to be facing the trek up north to the capital, Santa Cruz, where they will join the other 4 confirmed cases to get treatment for coronavirus.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. As David said there's many tourists stranded inside that hotel, and we can now speak to a few of them from their rooms. Joining us first is David Hoon and his partner, Pamela Scott. Good morning to both of you. I'm so sorry that you're going through all of this. You were meant to leave yesterday morning, weren't you? And it was 7:30 in the morning that this letter got pushed under the door saying that everybody was in lockdown. So when you read that for the first time, how did you both feel?
Wow. Yeah, it was...
I found the letter and I just woke David up and I said, I can't do this.
So I quickly did a search on Google to see what news was out there. And yeah, we saw the bit about an Italian doctor had tested positive for the virus. And at first I didn't want to tell Pam. I just sort of kept quiet for a few minutes and thought, no, I'm not going to keep this one quiet. So, yeah, I told her and then that was it.
So you're both hopefully you're both feeling okay, and hopefully that will remain the case. As far as the quarantine is concerned, how much movement do you have? How ordinary and normal is life in the hotel?
Well,
we have to wear masks
when we're outside the room.
Yeah, we can go out. We've just been to get a coffee. We couldn't go down and get a hot drink at all.
Cheers.
Yesterday. Yeah. So at least we could get out down today. We can walk round the grounds as long as you're wearing the mask.
Yeah, and I guess that there's a bigger issue here as well, because, David, I know that you're an asthma sufferer and you also have high blood pressure, both of which you have medication for. And the situation you find yourself in is that you're running out.
I've actually run out of my blood pressure medication this morning. So... But whilst we were waiting to come on the show, there's a call come through from TUI, which I haven't taken. I'll take that straight after. And then if there's no joy there, then it's on to the British consulate, I think.
Yeah.
But interestingly, the medical staff who came round yesterday afternoon, who took our temperatures, they were very interested to know what medication I was running short of, and they promised me a call back last night, but we didn't get the call.
Well,
So,
I hope you get that soon.
Hopefully they'll sort that out for you. Thank you both very
Look
much
after
indeed
yourself.
for
Thank
joining
you for
us,
speaking to us.
today. Elsewhere in the hotel, we've got friends Alain Whitewick and Janie Brown. They're both here for us now. Hello to both of you.
Morning.
You were only
Good morning, Sam.
you were only supposed to be there for I mean, it's 7 days, I think, for it's an all-inclusive package. It looks like you might be together for longer, but you say the reality's beginning to set in now. In what way?
Yesterday was kind of a little bit surreal, and it was kind of a little bit of excitement in a way as to what was going on. There was quite a media frenzy when we looked over our balcony and saw all the policemen and the film crew. But yeah, reality has set in, and we are in this situation. But I think we just have to make the best of it and just go along with what we're advised to do, really.
Yeah.
So
We just saw yesterday morning was obviously I put the video on Facebook of the action that was going on outside, and that was the first time I thought, oh yeah, there's something really drastic going on here. And yesterday we unfortunately we didn't get anything to eat for 20 hours because we didn't have breakfast. First thing we got was at 4:15. We didn't have a clue what was going on. But today I think they're it's settling down a bit now.
yeah, I think they got sort of more organised in that they've been to say we are allowed to go downstairs, as the previous lady just said, to get hot drinks. But from what I understood, we do have to come back up to the room. But we'll check on that later on.
All right.
But obviously, it is just a worry when we think that we've got sort of our businesses at home, and obviously we're going to be probably stuck here for a couple of weeks.
Well, Pamela's got an 89-year-old mum at home as well, who you're concerned about leaving her on your own. You were thinking that you didn't want to leave her in the first place. Now it looks like maybe a much more extended visit.
Yeah, yes. It's the same. Well, I'm in the same predicament because I've got a lovely young lady looking after my dad, who's 95, just for the week. So we're going to have to put some more plans into position for that.
Well, look, you
both
two
of you. Well,
stay safe,
thank you.
stay healthy, most importantly. If, like
you.
those stranded in Tenerife, your plans have been affected by the ongoing outbreak in Europe, what are your rights?
Well, how safe are you when you're travelling to and from countries with a high infection rate? So here to answer that and more, travel expert Simon Calder and virologist Dr Stephen Griffin. Welcome to both of you. Stephen, let's start with you regarding masks and the fact that you can't. They've been allowed out of their rooms and they go downstairs. They've got their masks on, but you're touching stuff that other people may have touched. Is there such a thing as a quarantine in a hotel like that?
Well, obviously it's a difficult situation because there's so many people in a confined space, but any measures you can take to minimise contact and good hand hygiene are going to be very important. The masks help in several ways. Obviously, any barrier helps a little bit, but they're not entirely protective, the standard masks. You can get masks that are more protective with filters that are properly fitted. But really, it's about minimising contact, and that's why people are being asked to go back to their rooms.
So what do you do then? What is the best way to protect yourself as much as you can? Bearing in mind that we know if you touch something that's been touched by someone who has the virus, and then you touch your eyes, then it's got you anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing that masks do promote is actually the idea that you don't touch your face quite as much. We touch our face far more than we appreciate during the day. So maintaining good hand hygiene and wearing that mask could help contribute to that, because as you rightly say, the virus can persist on surfaces for some time.
We've just had a half-term, lots of children's families travelling back from Italy, northern Italy, from possibly coming back from Tenerife. Schools are being shut down because of this. Families are being told to self-quarantine. What are the risks to children here?
Well, I think it's fair to say the risk is fairly small because the number of cases in Italy, whilst it's an alarming growth in cases, still isn't that many. So the chances of people coming into contact with someone that has the virus is relatively small. But they're absolutely doing the right thing and isolating people that have come back from an at-risk area.
Okay.
Well, Simon's a very busy man at the moment. Obviously, those people in that hotel, they book their holiday for a certain period of time that may be extended. What do the hotel have to provide for them? What do they get? What compensation?
we're in unprecedented territory here, and it was so sad to hear those stories, particularly people who've got relatives back in Britain, and that, I think, is going to cause a great deal of anxiety among other people who are booked to go. Not so much that, well, we're going to this place and we might contract the coronavirus, but more, what happens if we get locked down? And that's a real worry. Because it is unprecedented, nobody quite knows. In the past few minutes, ABTA, the Travel Association, has put out a statement basically just saying, wait and see. Clearly, the Spanish authorities, given that it is one hotel on one island, are going to be doing everything they can to make sure that they look after the health needs of people, such as the asthma sufferer.
Some people hadn't eaten for...
Well, and clearly that will get that will get sorted out. But it's of course really upsetting for them, worrying for anybody else who's there, not least because this Italian family, well, you might have met them in the lift of the hotel, but if you were on floor 17, they were on floor 6, you're probably not going to contact them. However, they would, of course, been out to lots of restaurants. They would have gone through the airports. And if I may, just reinforcing, airports are the biohazard cauldrons of the world. If you're going through any airport, that's going to be the riskiest part in terms
touching
of
lift buttons, touching trolleys.
The security trays are the most lethal in terms of microbiology.
Then, if that's the case, if you have a holiday coming and you're watching this going, I'm not going. I'm just not going to take the risk. I don't want to go through the cauldron of germs and possibly pick something up. Have you got any rights to compensation? Can you cancel your holidays?
There are a couple of very small cases in which you can. If you book to go to one of the 11 Italian towns that's in lockdown, then since the Foreign Office warns against it, then you can cancel your trip. However, I don't know anybody who's ever been to any of their places. I'm sure they're lovely, but they're not on the tourist trail. And if, for example, you've got for the Italy-England rugby match, if that gets called off or played behind closed doors and you have a package which includes match tickets, you'll get your money back. Otherwise, it's business as usual. You book to go to Venice or Florence or Milan this weekend, have a fantastic time.
You'd recommend still going?
Oh, gosh, of course. I'm away to lovely Luxembourg this weekend. I can't wait, but I'm going to be really careful at Stansted Airport.
Will you wear a mask through the airport?
Of course not. No. I mean, I'm just going to keep my distance, social distancing. Fond as I am of Phil, I'm only going to stay this close to people. Of course, watch out for queues and just wash your hands absolutely religiously.
Who is most at risk then? You've got schools that are closing down. You have people wondering about their holidays, whether to take their young children. From what we've been led to believe, that it is the older members of the population, those with underlying medical issues, that for everybody else, this is actually quite a minor illness.
Well, it's variable, and it's difficult to put precise numbers on it because we're still getting data out of China and the other countries where it's been spreading. It is true that many people do get a very mild course of infection, but in about 10 to 20% that you can get more severe disease, where you get disease down in your lungs, which can be quite difficult to deal with. We don't have any drugs to treat this virus yet, so that's obviously a concern. And there is a risk that you could develop more systemic disease, and that can be fatal. Of course,
asthma sufferers?
Yeah, well, obviously things, and that's true for many respiratory infections, so infections that go into your lungs. People that have things like asthma or COPD are more likely to be at risk from complicated disease courses.
David and Pamela, who we were speaking to earlier, they've got a question they wanted to ask directly to you. Fire away, what was it?
Hi. Yeah, it's about air conditioning. We're very interested to hear about the airports being the cauldron of infections, but we've turned the air conditioning off in our room. Is there any danger of air conditioning transmitting the virus?
I think that... I'm not an expert, I'm afraid. I imagine if it's a recirculating air conditioner, you're probably OK. If it's ducted throughout the rest of the hotel, there should be filters, but I honestly wouldn't be able to say for sure, sorry.
You can't be absolutely sure with something like that anyway.
No, but I think that the major message is that it is primarily spread through close contact. So I get the impression that the spread through air conditioning would be very, very, very low risk.
OK, thank you.
And just one final point, if I may. Bear in mind that looking globally, taking a step back, British travellers have never been safer abroad. So, of course, there's understandable concern about this, but the risks of being a holidaymaker pretty much anywhere in the world are lower than they have ever been.
And also the figures compared for the COVID-19 compared to the normal flu.
Yeah, so seasonal influenza is still a major health concern. That causes a lot of disease in our country and elsewhere in the world. one good piece of advice, actually, is if you can get a flu vaccine, get it, because then you know that you're not going to have flu and you won't confuse those symptoms with potential coronavirus. So, yeah, we still need to be vigilant about all the other nasties that are spreading through the winter months.
Because the flu virus will not protect you against COVID-19?
No, absolutely not. They're entirely different viruses. The vaccines and the drugs we have against flu don't work against this coronavirus.
All right. Thank you both very much.